Folks, welcome to an all-new episode of So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Thursday episode. We are doing a Valley recap. It is that point of the week again where we descend into the dark recesses of hell, i.e. the Valley. How are you guys? Are you good? We had a great episode on Wednesday. Did you hear it? Emily Simpson. We had Brian Buckmeyer from ABC News talking about the Diddy verdict. That it was like we got off the phone right when the jury had announced they had made decisions on like 4 of the counts, but they were trapped on the racketeering. And unfortunately today, they handed down, their ruling, and he got off. Diddy got off on the racketeering charge, which was the biggest charge, which held the most jail time. And the sentencing, I believe, is on October 2nd. And there was talk about him getting released on bond, and preparations were being made by his team, security-wise, for that to happen. But the judge ruled, since his lawyers themselves had said it many times during the trial that Sean would have, bouts of anger and rage. And the judge said, no, you will be staying in prison until this ruling. Now, Brian said yesterday, Brian Buckmeyer on the podcast said, I think we're looking at 10 years prison time. But in the world that we live in today, I can't tell you that he won't be pardoned. I know that might sound laughable to you, but I just think we live in a world that kind of weirdness and celebrity thrown into that weirdness, weird things are going to happen. So I really don't know what's going to happen. But once again, Sean Diddy Combs, beat the allegations, even though we will always remember that videotape that was released on CNN of him beating Cassie. I know this is going to be a fun, but by the way, hey guys, welcome to Thursday. I just wanted to get this out of the way. We will make fun of Jax and all of that stuff throughout the rest of this episode, but I just want people to remember, don't mistake what your eyes actually see. And just because you love somebody because of a song that made you feel something, or many songs, or an image that he represented, remember that that's who he is. It's not all of who he is, but that is a big part of who he is. And I think when decisions are laid down like this, it makes it even harder for women to come forward. And I think, as I talked with Brian, I think in this country and in this world, we have a really hard time realizing psychologically what people go through in relationships. I think that's part of the reason why I love reality television so much. You get to focus on the ins and outs and dynamics of relationships, and how deep and dark the human mind can go, and how relationships sometimes bring out the best in you, and it sometimes brings out the worst in you. But Sean Diddy Combs, I know too much about this man now through this past year and all the documentaries and docuseries that came out, is that this man has beaten impossible charges throughout his entire career. And in fact, I hope that's what he's remembered for literally beating charges that he should have been put away for. And we're going back decades now. He will have to serve time. But in some ways, people were celebrating this. There was one article I was reading. People celebrating outside of the courtroom. There was one doofus spraying baby oil on people in celebration. Like the sickness, sick. But what an image of that is 2025 in a nutshell. People celebrating outside of the Diddy trial, spraying baby oil on each other. You know how fucking tacky that is? And ridiculous and just, what do the kids used to say? Chuggy? Is that chuggy? So, he will serve still, I would imagine, a very long time. But it's so interesting. The other night I watched an ABC News special on the Chrisleys being released. And they had Todd Chrisley and his wife and his daughter, who really fought tooth and nail to get, her dad and mom out. And it is so interesting. It's so interesting because Todd Chrisley seems like a really funny man. I was never into Chrisley Knows Best. I have a lot of friends that were into that show. It just never. I remember getting angry when Bravo would have it on for some reason. You'd turn to Bravo late at night, and some reason, like during the night, they're playing Chrisley Knows Best reruns, and it just never did anything for me. But you can tell why he made a great reality show character. But it is interesting, even in this, interview after they've been released and they're freshly Botoxed and coiffed and dressed, he still can't admit the things that he did. Just the ability to lie in front of a camera is another quality that I think makes a great reality television persona. And the funny thing is, he seems like one of those guys you would get along with, like whip smart, very funny. Says outrageous things, very heterosexual. This guy loves the ladies. Even because, one of the reasons he got put away was this guy ratted on him that he was in a romantic relationship with. And in the interview, he's like, oh, for heaven's sakes. I mean, if I was even that way, that is not the man. That is not who I would go with. Look at him. And I just thought, tin roof rusted. What are you talking about, Todd? It is so interesting. I think, we see so much injustice in the world. We see so much injustice in our own lives. And at the same time, you then try to reframe it in your mind where you're like, well, I hope you're trying to get something positive out of it. I'm just like, the positive thing is just like, never give up, fight tooth and nail for what you need and want in this world. Fight tooth and nail, just work hard because anything can happen, even if you're guilty. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just weird. And then the Bryan Kohberger trial today happened, the hearing where Bryan Kohberger pleaded guilty to the killings of those four beautiful kids in Moscow, Idaho. And I watched that happen, and he agreed to serve the rest of his life behind bars. People are really divided on this. I was upset just because from the conditions of this, he does not have to tell them the why. Why did you do this? Why? And who knows? People really get this addiction to attention and fame at some point. And I don't know if Bryan will eventually be doing jailhouse interviews, all of the stuff that we've seen from serial killers in the past, or if he will remain quiet. My bet is on he will speak at some point. But you just feel for those poor families. But at least they know that he will not be out on the streets at all. But part of me was just like, and that really bad part of me was like, go for the death penalty, even though I don't even really believe in the death penalty. But it was just such a gruesome act of violence that it really gave me pause, and to go through years of torture for those families because this man could not admit what he did. And then finally, when he realized there was so much evidence against him, so much evidence, that they were like, yeah, let's get. What about a plea deal? Can we do a plea deal? Nice. Anyways, that's the part of the true crime part of So Bad It's Good, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. I want to tell you, I'm starting this Valley recap late because I got sucked into a documentary on HBO Max that really, really touched me. It's directed by the actor Mariska Hargitay from SVU. A legendary, actor in her own right, but her mom was the iconic actress of the 60s, Jane Mansfield. And even if you don't know anything about Jane Mansfield, there is this documentary that Mariska is kind of, she's the director, but she also takes us through her life because that was her mom, and a mom she didn't really know that well because her mom died in a tragic car accident, and Mariska was in the car with her when I believe she was 3 years old, and she was with her siblings, her two brothers and her sister, and her mom died in the car accident immediately, and they got the rest of the kids, and they get to the hospital, and the one brother wakes up and where's Mariska? And Mariska was still in the car, trapped under one of the seats, and nobody noticed her there. She had a head injury. Little Mariska Hargitay. And Mariska doesn't remember anything. She has one memory of her mother, but she doesn't even know if that's a real memory or not. And she spent her whole life trying to divorce herself from memories of her mother. So this is her kind of enveloping herself in the story of her mom. And I don't want to ruin anything for you because there are so many twists and turns to this story, but I was blown away. I mean, there's an old Hollywood element that I always love. You know, it's taking you through old Hollywood and you know, and just how it used to be in a way. And, you know, what it's like to be, because she was always considered like a B-level Marilyn Monroe in a sense. But Mariska going through her life, not knowing her mother, and you know, and what family means, and secrets that families keep, and it really packs this emotional wallop that I thought it was just so well done. It's streaming on HBO Max, like I said. It's called My Mom Jane. And if you are looking for something that's gonna make you feel something, just like an episode of The Valley, I recommend My Mom Jane. I went into it cold. Rebecca wanted to watch it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I thought I would watch for like 20 minutes and then start the recap. I got sucked into the whole documentary. So that's it. Now remember, we're coming up on the 4th of July holiday, but we don't rest here at So Bad It's Good, because we have an emotional problem that is also psychological in nature. We are going to keep releasing new episodes, and I get it. Really, from my understanding doing this for the last 5+ years, is that numbers go down on holidays, but I don't care because I need this because I'm trying to fill a hole. So we have new episodes. So whenever you're listening to these, if you're listening to this next week, if you're listening to this in 2026, welcome. And not only do we have this, we're going to take you through the Valley, all the ins and outs. We're going to talk about Kristen and Luke's new baby. Yeah, beautiful episode where they got engaged. We're going to talk about Scheana Shay's new book. We'll talk about anything and everything. And then, now, usually on Friday, I release an episode. I guess I didn't last week. But I did this amazing interview/conversation with our good friend Lauren Clayton. You might know her as mental health hacker. And she is a therapist. She's brilliant. She's been on this show, I think, about 5 times now. And I had her on to talk about the Valley, you know, Jax and all the characters, but we also talk about the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reunion. Now, I told you yesterday I got through the first 45 minutes. I made my way through the other 50 minutes today. Man, that thing moved like molasses at certain points. Yet, there was so much good information in it. And I had just gotten to the point where Whitney's husband talks all about his sexual abuse. So when I told you guys yesterday I was in the first 45 minutes, I had yet to see that part. That part blew me away. And we do talk about that moment with Lauren Clayton. Yeah, a lot of information. And Jen Affleck, star of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, they welcomed their what is it, their 4th child now? Their 3rd or 4th child. She had her baby, and now she has to train for Dancing with the Stars because that starts in a couple months. What does that start in September? Yeah, that's going to be, so I'm going to release this and I'm going to release that as well. So this is, consider it part 1 and part 2, because, you know, I have a professional on to talk about some of the psychological underpinnings of these characters. But like I said, I think we had great shows all week. Adam Rippon, an Olympic medalist. My God. We talked about Love Island USA. I believe we will still be doing the Love Island USA recap. I think it'll be out on Saturday with Bergie and Taylor. And especially because Tuesday night's episode of Love Island USA was insane. By the way, I almost some sick part of me wants that, like that should have been the season finale. Them just all saying the worst things about each other and then just cut to black like the end of The Sopranos and go, okay, see you next summer. Because I don't know how you know, like I thought it was I rewatched that 30-minute section where they all fight, or they're doing the question thing from the mailbox, you know, and I still come away with like Ace 510 in your fucking dreams. You know, I don't do a lot of research a lot where I'm like digging around on Reddit, but that I was like, listen, I even have Ace's friends I found where it's like, hey, he's like 5'8", 5'7", you know, like 5'6", some people said, people that know him. And how are you going to go trying to be all like a leader and up in people's faces and then start one of your speeches with, as a man that is 5'10", like, why do you tell on yourself? The fact that you said your height, it just made me, and I'm sure most of America, so fascinated, because we were like, wait a sec, we've been making memes of you all summer about how short you are, but you're going to say you're 5'10"? You signed your death warrant on the internet. That's what you did. We are going to prove that you are a short man. Nothing wrong with short kings. I think Ace is obviously a short king, but lean into it. Lean into it. You're a short king. Be proud of the short kingness in which you exist. But it also kind of shows like, what is that, like Napoleon complex? It's probably why he's always like, I'm a leader, because he's short. He's short. I mean, he's not Emmanuel Lewis short, but he's short. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6 foot and I can prove it. So, I just want to throw that out there. We're easing into this recap. I always do this on Valley Wednesdays where like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get into talking about the show. So I try to just keep making excuses to not talk about the show, but we're going to talk about the show after this break. Okay. A couple of stories came out. This is from Entertainment Weekly, and it's all about Scheana Shay's new book. Her book, My Good Side, comes out on July 22nd. And EW had an exclusive excerpt from this book, and I'm going to read it because I thought this was very interesting. And I think anybody examining their youth in any way kind of makes a little bit more sense of how they became what they became. And so she was talking about relocating to LA and to make a name for herself in the entertainment industry. And she says whether that was an actress, a TV host, or a news reporter. And she talks about getting a job, or her college friend Farah worked at a private member's cigar lounge and restaurant where every A-list celebrity, director, writer, and actor hung out there. And she says it was the hottest place to work in Beverly Hills. That's until she found me and Nick Lane. I can't believe Scheana worked at the cigar. I can't believe that. She said, I felt really lucky to get the job. I figured I might meet the right people there, which would lead to being discovered. So I moved to Hollywood, never anticipating just how drastically this decision would change my life forever. I first laid eyes on Eddie Cibrian, Brandi Glanville's ex-husband, a few months later when he stepped off the elevator at the cigar lounge where he played poker on Tuesday nights. If you were to ask me when I was growing up what my exact type was, to a T, it was Eddie. Tall, dark, and handsome with dimples. The second we made eye contact, he smiled at me with those dimples and I melted. How could I not? He's undeniably a gorgeous human. Our relationship wasn't romantic from the jump, though the writing was on the wall from day one. Eddie was the sweetest, funniest, most charismatic, consummate gentleman I'd ever met. He'd always made me feel like I was the only girl in the room when I was working, whereas most of the other patrons at the cigar lounge just wanted me to serve them their drinks and leave them to play poker. Eddie made a concerted effort to make eye contact with me. It sounds like he was a pervert. Of course, I've been asked a zillion times how I didn't realize he was married. Why would I have thought he was? He never wore a wedding ring, so I assumed he was single. At some point, I did look at his IMDb, as my roommate was also dating an actor, and I wanted to see what movies he'd been in. The only one I'd seen was Say It Isn't So, starring Heather Graham, and I vaguely remembered thinking Eddie's character was hot, even though I had no idea he was at that time. This was pre-social media, so it wasn't like he was posting pics of his family in matching PJs in front of a Christmas tree. I had a Palm Trio, the hottest phone of 2006, Scheana writes, but it didn't have an internet browser on it. I didn't even own a laptop. I would go to the internet cafe on Hollywood Boulevard and La Brea Avenue. Oh my God, I know that exact internet cafe, to use their computer when I needed to check my emails for auditions. I wasn't concerned with Googling this hot guy who said he was an actor in LA. Do you know how many hot guys in LA were and still are actors? A lot. I was just happy to be the girl working the poker game he played in. Sure, my hair reeked of cigar smoke every night, but the money was good. To be clear, Eddie wasn't my boyfriend, at least not exclusively, but we did start a physical relationship at the end of 2006, which was a weekly booty call. After his Tuesday night poker games and when my shift ended, we would go out together with our friends to get drinks, and then he would come back to my house where we would hook up. Eddie would then go home, and I'd go back to my life for the rest of the week. In hindsight, it was pretty brazen of him to be fully out in public with a bunch of single women while his wife and child were at home. I even remember one night when the paparazzi photographed us leaving Ladue. We're entering the Hills territory, a nightclub in Hollywood, and it was no big deal. It wasn't like Eddie was freaking out that he'd been caught on camera with me. Oh my God, we need those paparazzi photos. The frightening thing is that I totally thought I could end up with Eddie. He looked how I'd always imagined my future husband would, and he treated me well, but I wasn't trying to settle down at the age of 21, and I was keeping my options open and dating other people. God, you just think if Scheana was 21 at this age, like she would kill it on Love Island. You know, like do you do that? Do you cast Love Island with old reality star characters? She would crush. And then she goes, that was when I started seeing Jesse Metcalfe, the sexy gardener from Desperate Housewives. I didn't realize she saw Jesse Metcalfe as well. In college, I'd watched the movie John Tucker Must Die, which Jesse starred in, and I recall thinking what a dream it would be to date him, not his character, which I did beginning in early 2007. Jesse was an awesome guy, but our relationship didn't happen right away. Soon after we first met, he went to rehab, so we started hanging out often only after he finished. The first date he took me on post-rehab was the Cloverfield red carpet movie premiere. I love when we intersect with other little Hollywood things. Like Cloverfield, I haven't thought about that movie in forever. I then spent my 22nd birthday at dinner with him, and I vividly remember sticking to water and Red Bull all night as a way of supporting his sobriety, which it seems like, I mean, remember the Shay and supporting his sobriety? After dinner, we went to a karaoke bar and ended up heading out early since everyone was drinking alcohol and I could tell it was a little overwhelming for him. The fact that a group of my friends decided to sing Rick Springfield's Jesse's Girl didn't help either. But I was totally cool with leaving and told him I just wanted to spend my birthday with him. He also took me shopping at Neiman Marcus and told me to get whatever I wanted as a gift. I chose a pair of Marc Jacobs sunglasses that I have to this day. I could have asked for something much more expensive like a Louis Vuitton bag, but I wanted to be respectful. Overall, Jesse and I had a great time together. We would order dinner with his parents at his house, and when we were alone, he would play the guitar and serenade me with songs like "Hey There Delilah," "Hey There Delilah." Oh my God! It felt like I was living a real life fantasy with this guy I'd watched on TV and in movies for years. But eventually, we grew apart, and things faded out later that summer. I fell right back into regularly hanging with Eddie, at which point it became more serious than our weekly poker night hookups. So much so that when I was moving apartments, Eddie came to help me and met most of my friends and even my mother. His best friend also joined us with his son, who was a toddler at the time. We were literally intertwining our families and the people closest to us. During this period, Eddie would take me out on his boat and we'd cruise around Castaic Lake taking photos together. It really felt that we were building something. Did I think it was weird that I never went to his house? No. He lived in Calabasas, supposedly, and I certainly wasn't making the trek to Calabasas in 2007 when Ubers didn't exist and I had less than $1,000 to my name. It was so much easier and more fun to hang out in Beverly Hills or Hollywood, and my place was closer and more convenient. I didn't see a single red flag, especially since we weren't exclusive. The first crack in Eddie's perfectly constructed facade appeared one night at the cigar lounge when one of the members approached me. He said, "Listen, Eddie is coming tonight, and I just want to let you know before you do something you might regret that I heard he's married." He must have seen that we were getting more serious and didn't want me to get in too deep. I didn't believe it, or maybe I didn't want to believe it because I was wild about Eddie. And again, we were out together all the time in public, so I didn't feel like some secret mistress. Still, I was freaking out and had a massive pit in my stomach. As predicted, Eddie showed up and immediately he could tell that my energy was off. He asked me what was going on and I told him to check his phone. I'd sent him a message saying, "I have to ask before we hang out tonight. Does something belong on your ring finger?" I didn't want to come across as aggressive or have him think I was acting crazy since I didn't know if it was true, and also because my inherent people-pleasing tendencies were in full force. So I decided to choose pleasant and palatable, even a little playful, over direct and confrontational. I was young, and I felt like I was falling in love with him. I didn't want to rock the boat for no reason. Writing, "Are you married?" felt too accusatory, and even though I now know that it would have been completely appropriate given the circumstances. Eddie acted like he didn't understand exactly what I was getting at, so I posed the question straightforwardly. And his answer was, "No, that's insane. Why would you ask me that?" It was gaslighting in its most basic form, yet I trusted him, so we continued hanging out. End of chapter. So that's an excerpt printed in Entertainment Weekly today. Scheana will be doing a full court press on publicity. And I got to say, this excerpt makes me want to learn to read. I am fully in on the Scheana Shay novel experience. But I do kind of want to know when she found out. I mean, she's got a lot of good dirt. And like, I didn't know about the Jesse Metcalfe thing. So yeah, I'm in on the Scheana Shay book. I think she's going to be coming on the show right before the book comes out. So I'm excited for that. And I think I'm getting a copy of the book in this next week. So I cannot wait to burn through that. I usually listen to audiobooks now. So and by the way, there is that part of me that wants to hear Scheana narrate her own audiobook, but I will read it with my own eyes just to prep for that interview. Okay, so that is Scheana. And then for some really beautiful news, Us Weekly got exclusive first photos. They are on the cover of Us Weekly. Is Us Weekly really in print anymore? But they're on the digital front page of Us Weekly. And the headline reads, "A reality star is born." The former VPR party girl tells us about her challenging fertility journey to welcoming daughter and newest co-star Kaya with fiance Luke Broderick and their first days as a family. Quote, "We're figuring this out together." And this is great. Like, and I hope they got a nice sized paycheck for this. And the baby looks beautiful, right? So Us Weekly says, "Kristen, congratulations. How are you feeling now that Kaya's finally here?" And she replies, "Everyone told me that even though pregnancy was hard, the second you give birth, you don't think about it anymore. It's all worth it." And they're right. It's crazy that we have an actual human. She's ours. She's here. And I'm like, we just take her home now? It's wild. She says she's doing good. She says she's exhausted. The tired thing is no joke. Maybe a day and a half ago, Luke and I had this system down. We're like, okay, she's napping. When she gets up, the bottle, the diapers are ready, all good to go. We're like, we got this, and we high-fived. Then last night I woke up, my boobs were exploding. I'm covered in milk. She's screaming and crying, and we're both like, oh my God, what do we do? What the hell do we do? Oh my God, don't count the chickens before they hatch. It's frustrating because you don't want her to be upset and you don't know how to fix it fast enough. We're all figuring things out together. We're not filming at the moment, so we're really lucky that we have this time to spend as a family and not have to leave the house. We have a little time to adjust. I feel very fortunate for that. They ask, what's been the best part of motherhood so far? Every single moment is different, she says. When she opens her eyes for longer than 2 minutes, it's so exciting. Those little tiny things are just the biggest deal. How was your delivery? Well, I was really afraid of giving birth. I was induced a week early, and my doctor said he doesn't like to go past the due date when you're over 40. Total labor was maybe 14 hours, which sounds crazy and long, but I felt like I was there for a few hours. I had an epidural, so I felt absolutely nothing, which was phenomenal. That was my plan. It was like, give me all the stuff. I don't want to feel pain. I am not that girl that's going to do a natural home birth, which part of me almost thinks Kristen would do a natural home birth, and I think I just kind of I align her with that kind of Fleetwood Mac 70s aesthetic. She says, when I had dilated from a 4 to a 10, they said, let's do a practice push. Okay, she's coming. Don't push anymore. We're grabbing your doctors. It's go time. Just like that. It was get ready to rock and roll. Here we go. I pushed for 9 minutes and there she was. The 9 minutes felt like 2 minutes. Luke was holding my hand. Everyone was saying push, push, push. And I have no idea if I'm even doing the right thing. I think I'm doing it. And then she's lying on my chest. It was just perfect. Luke cut her umbilical cord. They went to weigh her. She reached over and grabbed the side of the weighing station and tried to roll herself over at minutes old. This sounds like Doute. And then the little baby lit a Marlboro light in the back of the Sir Alley. No, also the baby did weigh in at 83 pounds, which that does seem very heavy for, no, I don't actually know what the baby weighs. I mean, they have this beautiful solo shot of Kaya. What a beautiful baby. Us Weekly says, you give people hope. And Kristen says, on the Valley this season, you'll see our fertility journey. We got pregnant 2 weeks after we wrapped filming. You'll see us meet with our doctor and me struggle with the word infertile. It was really difficult to hear because in my mind, it means we can't have a baby, but it really just means that it takes you a year or more to get pregnant. It's not as scary as it sounds. That is so important as you get older to you know, doctors have this like really sometimes scary bedside manner, and you hear these words that are so not filled with hope. But things just take a little extra time as you get older. Us Weekly says, many people will be grateful you've been so candid about your struggles. And Doute says, teach their own, but if it's something a woman feels comfortable sharing, I absolutely push everyone to do so. The more women's stories I read, it made me feel safer and more comfortable to share mine. And the more I shared, the more feedback and gratitude we got from women all over the world. They say, what do you wish you could tell your past self who was unsure whether motherhood was in her future? She says, if it's God, the universe, whatever you believe in, you have to trust the plans and take it day by day. It's easy to think the worst, especially after us having a pregnancy loss the year before, and to start duping yourself into thinking this is impossible. But it's a much healthier mindset to say, this is going to be good. We have each other's backs. Everything's going to be amazing. And then they say, would you do it again? And Doute says, we'd love to have a second baby if that's possible for us. I'm sure we'll need help again with our fertility doctor. I hope we're that lucky, but I know what to expect a little bit more the next time around. Did you ever doubt you'd get pregnant eventually? She says, after our pregnancy loss, I was like, this is it. Luke and I had talked about this. I'm 8 years older than him. What if we try every last thing and none of it works? He could go marry a young girl that is super fertile myrtle, and not have to deal with my geriatric infertile ass. But he was down to stay with me. He loved me, and he was like, we'll figure it out. I feel lucky. How else did he support you? Luke lives in neutral. I am not someone who lives in neutral. I'm roller coaster high and low, super happy or really anxious. He's very even keeled, and that's how he was throughout. He was there to keep me calm. What was your lowest moment? We had a scare around 13 weeks. I started bleeding. We had to go to the ER, and they called it a possible miscarriage, even though we heard the heartbeat and saw her on the ultrasound. You go home and the baby could still not make it. So that was terrifying. That is terrifying. Can you imagine? What kind of dad has Luke been like so far? She says, he's so hot, it's stupid. He was amazing with all of our friends' kids, but seeing him with his own daughter and the way she is with me, even at a week old, versus the way she is with him, I feel like she feels his energy. She's very calm with him. He holds her, tears are gone. Are you looking forward to some spontaneous intimacy now that you aren't on your schedule to conceive? Us Weekly, calm down. Hey, you gonna fuck? Hey, what's going on? Us Weekly. Weirdos. She says, Luke's like, you're the most fertile right after having a baby, so we can go for number 2. Whatever's in the cards for us is what's going to happen. One weekend, I'm just thinking about Kaya. I can't imagine not giving her all my love, affection, and attention, but I also know if we want a second one, we shouldn't wait a long time to try. I've only had one pregnancy, and I understand where you're grateful and humbled to be a vessel for this baby. But at the same time, you want to be a version of yourself again. I would like my body back, and I like not being pregnant. But at the same time, I really want a second one. How would you describe your bond with Kaya? I feel so incredibly connected to her. I don't even have words. I hope I'm not a helicopter mom, because that is so my style. She looks exactly like Luke. She even has like a little beard. No. But if she has my personality, there's no one better on this earth to raise a little Kristen than me. I know how to get her to listen and what's going to make her rebel, but I want her to be more adventurous than I am. I want her to be less anxious. I want her to be a lot more like Luke in those ways. The biggest lesson motherhood has taught her is patience. I'm an extremely impatient person, but with her, it's completely different. Like, all I have is patience and grace for her. We're all just learning this together. Will you raise Kaya in LA? Once she's school age, we want to be elsewhere. We both like to be closer home, the Midwest. Nashville is the idea in our head, but we'll see. Are you surprised to be a fan favorite on this season of The Valley? She says, I'm very humbled that the viewers say they love this new era. The past hasn't been cute. I started TV when I was in my late 20s, but I did a lot of questionable things in my 30s as well. I'm stoked that they have given me this opportunity to show who I am now. Will Kaya be on the show? This is important, you guys. She says, yes, it's going to be the best video yearbook ever for us to film season 3. Is it? I do not like the kids on... The production company and network are so respectful of us being new parents and what that means. I've talked to Scheana about when she filmed with Summer. Same with MJ Javid from Shaws of Sunset. She filmed with her son when he was days old. So I've had these conversations of what that was like. And if it was hard on their bodies, their minds, their emotions, and everyone's been like, you know what? You kind of don't even think about it. What about as she gets older? Us Weekly asks. We haven't talked about that in depth yet. I'm proud. I want the whole world to know how beautiful she is and how excited we are, but we're also very protective, and I'm not going to be sharing every waking moment of our lives either. There are some things that are just for us. When she asks about her mom's previous reality TV days, how will you explain that part of your life? She says, I'm not shying away from that. The best way to learn is just to be honest about life. Like, here are mistakes. And here's reality, and this is how you grow. This is how you become a better person. She can watch Vanderpump Rules when she's 28. That's how old I was when I started reality TV. And then Us Weekly says, will you let her watch the movie Drive? And I was like, that is out of pot. No, they didn't ask that. That's just my sick mind. Then they say, Bravo's Next Gen NYC features the children of Real Housewives. Would you let Kaya take part in something like that? Slow down, Us Weekly. Kristen says, I truly don't think our daughter would ever come to us and say she wanted something like that, so I'm not really worried about it, but no, she says. And that was the Us Weekly article. And I'm, the information about trying for a baby too immediately. So just think, as you're listening to this right now, potentially Kristen and Luke, right now, as you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, they might be doing the hippity dippity trying for baby number 2. Who knows? I don't know why I'm quiet all this. Who knows? They might be doing the sex right now for baby number 2. I don't know, but that just, isn't that like, it's, I don't know, it kind of just warms the heart, right? And this episode, it's perfect to read this interview, and spoiler alert, yeah, they do get engaged and then they got pregnant. So if you were trying to keep yourself from that information, they have a child now. But it's great because, you know, with such a show, like a show that we call just so mentally unbalanced and dark, it's nice to have something about this show that you can kind of look to and go, oh, that's nice. You know, like you almost relate to in a certain way. Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice, right, you guys? God, can we all just share a cry together? I'm just so happy you guys are here. Okay. We do this every week. We got to do this, right? And we're in a good place right now. Usually we're not in this good of a place at this point in the show, but I think we're in a good place. And this next piece that I always do, I think it's usually to bring the spirits up before we get into the darkness. But our spirits are already up. But the great thing about this song that I'm about to play is it's a party song. You know, it's even better when you're happy. Like if you're sad, this song can make you feel better. But if you're happy, this song could take you to the moon. It can take you up into that sky because we truly are going to live forever. One more time. Raise Your Glass by Dina Deadly. Woo! Let's do this one for Baby Kaya. Baby Kaya. Oh my God, when's the first time Baby Kaya's gonna listen to this song? I'm a robot. Oh, Kaya. Woo! Luke and Doute having baby number 2 right now. Ooh. Best days take that, Jax Taylor. They still are the best days of our lives. Raise your Stanley mugs high. I do a mean face when I hear that. Like, it's dirty. This one's for you tonight. Fertile pregnancies. Forever young. I would love to hear Bruce Springsteen do a version of this, or like Dylan. All the best days of our lives. Just bring the life high. Just wait for you Scene. Wow, that might have been our best one yet, you guys. Because I felt you guys were dancing along to it and singing along to it. Thank you for participating in that with me. That's great. That is good stuff. Okay, finally to the recap portion. By the way, that song was dedicated to baby Finn. My listener and friend Jenny sent me this very cute little Instagram that I posted on my Instagram stories of listening to the podcast. This little baby Finn trying to crawl and stuff, and that just warmed my cold black heart. So congrats to Jenny and Steve, obviously, on this beautiful baby. Man, we're just talking about babies right and left on this Valley episode so far. So anyways, this is episode 12, and it's called "Will You Maui Me?" I see what you did there. You will you marry me? But they did Maui because they're in Maui. That took me like a day to get. The description the cable company gives us says, unbeknownst to Kristen, a fishing trip Luke planned is where he plans to pop the question. These little descriptions, I mean, are so bad. Like the title was great. The description, horrible. Like what What are you talking to a friend descriptor? Come on. And we have like previously on the Valley. And remember, Luke is going to propose to Kristen, wants it to be a secret. Kyle Chan, jeweler to the reality stars, got him the ring, but he doesn't want Detective Doute on his case. Danny and Nia helped Luke out, invited everybody on the trip. Nobody knows except for a select few, including Zach Wickham, that Luke is going to pop the question, because Luke is smart enough to, like, if you give information in this group, it is going to come out. It is going to be out there immediately. So he is only telling a select few to get Detective Doute off the case. Now, remember, the Kristen Doute relationship still even more fractured than it was the week before, because they went to a Mexican restaurant, El Coyote, and Janet had a little too much liquid courage and got buzzed and potentially drunk during the day and made poor Nia cry, and Doute left in a huff. And I don't, it's like even rewatching that scene, because they're pissed that Doute brought Jenna, who used to date Aaron, the hot honey man that Michelle is dating now, to a party. And so Janet is taking offense to that. And yes, I get it. That is kind of like a weird thing to do, a weird way to move. But guys, always know where you're at. You're on a reality show. You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. Weird shit like that should not happen in real life. Weird shit like that should and does happen on reality television all the time. It's par for course. And I've thought so. I'm doing mental gymnastics on Janet so much, even in this episode, where I'm trying to understand the behavior, because it comes off, awful, right? There are aspects to this that are awful. Now, the Valley After Show, which I do recap on Patreon, they do talk a little bit more about Janet's reaction to the engagement once she found out. Not her best look, right? But Zach in the after show even says, I think it was great that Janet handled it the way she did. That's the Janet I used to know and love, that she was like, let Kristen have her moment. I think it's just the talking about that moment in the talking head that Janet does, and the saying, we're not invited to dinner, and Jason correcting her and saying, no, we were invited. It's just not, we probably shouldn't be there, but you're still in Maui, one of the best places on earth. And I will say that, this is the thing that I get into pretzel logic about, is that Janet knows she's on reality TV. She also is a fan of reality TV. And in those moments, I think in one aspect of it, you've got to thank Janet for being herself and showing her real emotions, good or bad, because that's what we want. But at the same time, I think a lot of us in that situation would be like, oh my God, amazing. And even if you didn't feel it was amazing, you would have gone along with it, because that's the right way to act. Because, there's a lot of bullshit we handle and deal with in life that you just put a happy face on because it's not about you, and you go with it. And especially if cameras are on you, don't let them see you sweat. So in one aspect, you're like, she knows she's on camera, and she's still saying like, oh God, we're always going to be like, now we're on Kristen Doute's engagement trip. And obviously Kristen Doute and her are not getting along. So she is correct in the sense that, yeah, Doute probably wouldn't want to see her at that dinner that night that they talk about at the end of this episode. There is that part of me that's like, when you get engaged, it is one of the happiest times in your life. And it is also that time where you're like, I love everybody and anybody. You don't have a lot of time for anger or the past when something amazing happens for you. And I think that the hopeful part of myself, the part of myself that I feel the most like when I'm drinking coffee, that's when I feel the most hope, is that if Janet had showed up, Kristen would have been like, oh my God, the happiest day of my life. You know what? I know we're like shitting all over each other, but my God, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for even like being here and celebrating us. That's really nice. That's the wishful thinking in my head. But I don't know. I just keep going back and forth going, they know they're on camera. Like it's one of those, and at the same time, we do want conflict. We do want the story moving forward. And the story does have people that are having the hot potato, as I call it. And they look bad in the situation. And Janet has looked bad a lot of the times. Now, Lauren Clayton, that mental health hacker I said that we did an interview with today, she actually kind of, in some ways, explained a little bit more coherently that she understood Janet's side a lot more and saying, reminding, like at the first episode, she tried to apologize to Kristen and Kristen kind of shot that apology down. So immediately it started off on a sour note. I don't know, you guys, but we're going to talk about it. But my God, it made me cringe laugh of Janet's talking head of just like, you guys. I kept waiting for Jax Taylor to pop up too in the chunky sweater. Like, just like, what's going on? I'm here for the engagement. The Valley needs me. I'm the lead of the Valley. What's up? Let's rock and roll. I just want him back in that chunky sweater so bad because now he has like the body of a pro wrestler. So, I mean, you'd think that thing would snap. It would be like the Incredible Hulk when he's a tiny guy and he turns into the Incredible Hulk and all of his clothes rip. That's what I want to see, the chunky sweater on and just like ripped everywhere because his body's so much bigger now. But we barely got Jax Taylor. In fact, we got, like I said yesterday, we got one scene and one FaceTime call. And I do have this thought of maybe he's going to be more like a friend of presence in season 3 of The Valley, which starts filming in August. We have not heard any decision come down, and I just don't imagine a world in which he is not part of this show. That is not what I want, obviously, and I don't think a lot of us want that, but I just don't see it. So maybe they will relegate him to a much smaller role like they are doing on this latter third of the season. I don't know. I'm thinking. So I think we have 3 more episodes after this, and then we have a 3-part reunion. We should get the reunion preview in the next 2 weeks. But yeah. Wild, interesting stuff. So we see all these clips from the previous episodes, and remember, it ended with Jesse Lally talking to Aaron, Michelle's hot honey man. And it's like, did you or did you not have weird relationship with my wife, Michelle? And Aaron, you know, I think he's a decent looking guy, but he's got wide eyes. I kind of have wide eyes too. I keep thinking that. I'm like, oh my God, do I have eyes like Aaron? Like when I do this, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it, but I don't think that's my natural. Like he just has a face like that kind of highlights his eyes. And in the clip, they keep going back and forth to Jesse, and Aaron's expression is like, zoinks! Oh! And they do this cut back to Jesse and Aaron, where I'm like, okay, production is messing with us. They are literally enjoying Aaron's face in this moment. And that's where we begin this episode. So we start the episode and it says 2 hours before that scene we just saw with Jesse and Aaron. And Brittany is with the group going out to this dinner by the water. It's like, hello, woo! And he is like, this is the perfect spot to kick off. It's very Hawaii Island vibes with the locations and the view. It's just perfect. And they're all sitting down and everybody's asking where Luke and Kristen is. And Nia's like, I just texted Kristen and stuff isn't going good with Luke. Because remember, his grandmother is very ill. And it's upsetting him, right? And so we cut to Doute and Luke's room. And Luke finally comes in from his walkabout or wherever he was trying to clear his mind. And Doute has like clothes. He's like, here's towels, undies, go to the next shower, get ready. Doute says when Luke is really frustrated, he likes to take a walk, he likes to take a drive and deal with some of his emotions on his own. But like, come on, Luke, get it together, Doute says. We had a stressful time recently, and this is for us to enjoy. We come back down to the dinner, and the waitress is like, can I start you off with something to drink? And Danny's like, no, I'll take a Diet Coke. JK, give me a bottle of tequila. Pass it to me under the table. Jesse Lally's like, I'll take a Casamigos skinny margarita with lime, please, with salt. And then Janet gets sake. Brittany, I'll take the filet. I'll do shot in a filet. Danny gets a pan-seared king salmon, you guys. I said this last week, when you get their full food orders, something's wrong. Like, I don't give a rip unless you're eating something so fucking bizarre, but I don't care that Danny's getting a pan-seared salmon. It just makes me hungry. Anyways, back up at the hotel, Luke's showered. He's like, okay, babe, they're waiting on us for dinner. Let's go, babe. Let's go. We're back down at the dinner, and the food is being served. And Jesse Lally's like, look at my mountain of edamame. Look at my mountain. Zach Wickham asks Brittany, so what did you decide to do for cruise? And Brittany's like, so Zuli's staying at my house the entire time that we're gone. And then Jax is just coming to my house to play with Cruz for now. Yeah. In a talking head, Brittany goes, this is my first real vacation that Jax hasn't been on in like 10 years. It feels very strange because everybody's coupled up, but also is very freeing. Like, thank God he did not come. I don't think he's legally allowed in Hawaii after the Sunglass Hut incident. I actually don't know the reason why Jax didn't come on this trip, but something tells me it wasn't Jax's decision, especially because he was so butthurt being in that mental health facility and people were like, oh, FOMO. Oh, I want to be in that fight, right? Anyways, they're bringing out the sushi on a bridge, like this little wooden bridge thing. And Brittany's like, oh, it's on a bridge. Woo! And then Luke and Doute come out and everybody's cheering. Woo! Jesse asks Luke, how are you feeling, brother? And he's like, all right, I'm here. Doute immediately goes, iced tea lemonade with Tito's, please. Hell yeah, Doute. Let it rip. And Danny goes, is there any way you're coming out of this, or where are we right now, brother? And Luke's like, I'll talk to you later. Because remember, Danny knows about this secret engagement. In a talking head, Danny's like, I can tell that Luke's a little frazzled, and I'm one of the few people that know he's proposing to Kristen tomorrow. So I'm hoping that Luke is going to be able to keep it together and keep the train on the track for tomorrow. I've got 3 under 2, you guys, in Santa Clarita. Anyways, Nia is talking to Doute, and Nia's like, Janet apologized. It was really awkward for a second. And Doty's like, it should feel awkward. If I were her, I would feel really fucking awkward for screaming accountability and then be like, oh, wait, I was wrong. Yeah, you were wrong, Doute says. Because remember, at that Mexican restaurant, she was blaming all this on Doute, and it turns out it was Zach that revealed this information. And a talking head, Doute says, so it would be really nice if once in a while Janet would just acknowledge the fact that she can be a really shitty person and start a lot of things to be drama for everyone else. How many times in our lives, you guys, has anybody been like, hey, I just want to acknowledge I'm a really shitty person. I'm trying to think of the times in my life. I mean, I've had people come up to me, or I've had times where I've been like, I'm so sorry. My head's up my ass. I'm being such a dick. I've had those times, but like, what is the reality of Janet being like, hey, before we start this dinner and I enjoy my sake, I just wanted to apologize for being a really shitty person. Like, it's not going to happen. Anyways, Nia's like, she hasn't talked to you about that yet? And Doty's like, no. Back to the talking head, Doute goes, and also, I mean, Janet yelled at me, where the fuck is my apology? And Doty's like, I hope she's not embarrassed to talk about it. No, she said, I hope she is embarrassed to talk about it. And he is like, I would be if I were her. So obviously still trouble in paradise between Doute and Janet, right? The night continues. People are cheersing. Jesse Lally has the balls to go, cheers to friendship. I think there should be an addendum to that. Cheers to friendship. Not on this island. I mean, the real friends that we have at home that we've made throughout our lives that refuse to be on reality television. And then Danny goes, cheers to family. And there's a reaction shot of Janet where she already does not look happy. And I always wonder with these reaction shots, if this is actually the reaction shot to Danny saying this, or if this is a reaction shot that they're like, we got a reaction shot of Janet looking a little upset and gassy, but it happened later in the dinner, but they're going to use it here just to kind of fill in that story, right? And then Danny goes, cheers to having each other's backs. And then Jason Caperna says, does this feel awkward at all with Jesse here and stuff? He's talking to Aaron, the hot honey man. And Jason's like, or has it been pretty chill so far? And Aaron goes, I think it's on him. Jesse Lally's going, I think I lost my phone. I think it's under Brittany's dress, and I don't want to go underneath the table to grab. I do not want to see Brittany's hoo-ha. Oh, Jesse, you're seeing my privates. You're seeing my genre. Ooh. Aaron tells Jason, there's shit that you just can't be comprehended, with Jesse. It's just childish. We cut back to Jesse going, I've already had to stare at Brittany's boobs for the first hour. Is Jesse being like pervy with Brittany? Brittany's going, ho, 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 ho. I mean, Brittany's always like tits out. Like that seems to be a style of dress for her that she really likes. But Jesse, like you don't say, I've had to stare at Brittany's titties for the last hour. It's weird. We go back to Aaron. Aaron talks really slow. Michelle and Aaron both talk insanely slow. I thought it was just Michelle, but as I recap this, I'm listening back to the verse. He's like, unwell behavior Jesse exhibits. Jesse is still playing. Jesse's in a good mood. He's trying to get Luke to drink his drink. He's like, hit this real quick. Hey, hit this. Luke, hit this drink. Jason is still talking to Aaron going, I know I'm on the outside, Aaron, but it seems like he's making positive strides from now since last year. Now, Michelle is in this conversation with Janet as well. And Michelle goes, oh, no, he's gotten worse. He's a disaster. He's gotten worse. And Jason goes, oh, interesting. Jason goes, oh, that's very interesting. Thank you. Nice. Aaron goes, you don't see the worst of it. You don't see the worst of it. Zach's like, are we all done? Everybody come back and see my presidential suite. Remember, he's given the presidential suite to Doute and Luke once they get engaged. And then Jason Caperna, this dude, he's like, guys, I picked up the check. I got you guys. This is where if I was Janet, I'd be like kicking Jason under the tail. Like, fuck the Doute drama. I'd be like, you motherfucker, you just picked up the tab for all of us? What are you talking about? What? I know he's a lawyer, but he's not like a Tom Girardi type lawyer. Thank God he's not a Tom Girardi type lawyer. But you know what I'm saying? Picking up the check. You guys, when I, one of the first 5 years I was in LA, 3 years, whatever, we were at this place, really fancy restaurant in Beverly Hills called Mr. Chow's. Place I would never be able to afford at that time to go into. And we're with my buddy Jeff, who was like trying to be like an agent and now he's very successful. But at the time we were all broke as a joke. And we were with our buddy Amanda and like this group of people. And Amanda had like very rich friends. And this guy invited us all to go to Mr. Chow's. And we were like, holy shit, free meal at Mr. Chow's. And, it was crazy, but Jeff was very stubborn and stuff like that. And he, really wanted to make his bones in the industry, and he has. But, I remember that check came, and me, I was like, looking around like, ooh, I'm not touching that check because we all came with the assumption this rich dude was paying for it. And then, the check comes, and all of a sudden the guy takes out his credit card, slaps it down, and Jeff slaps his credit card down and goes, I'll split it with you. And we were like, and I was like, let's not start like a wave here because I can't throw it on I didn't even have a credit card, like at that time I was really in deep with Sears. I got a Sears credit card on the ASU campus one time and it was like a $300 limit and I blew it that literally that first week on a stereo system, which is like, I didn't even know you could get a stereo system at Sears. And then I was under the impression that you didn't have to pay that. So I just didn't pay it and it really wrecked my credit. I mean, I truly, it's a miracle that I'm even here talking with you guys just because of how many idiotic, decisions I made through the years and still to this day. But I just remember that and going, you just fucking tried to, it was like a huge meal. Anyways, the moral of that story is don't pick up the check. Okay. Anyways, they're all getting up to leave, and Brittany's like, everybody can watch my booty as I walk up here. Guys, it's silly. We're getting into the 4th of July holiday, so my Brittany voice is going to be even more insane than it usually is. And then this is when Jesse Lally's like, hey, Aaron, can you hold back with me for a sec? And Aaron's like, yes, of course. And then Jesse's like, just the two of us. And so Aaron gives Michelle a little kissy in front of Jesse. And Jesse sits down and Michelle's walking away with Jason. She's like, oh God, it's going to be a disaster. So they all are walking away. Michelle's a little nervous. In a talking head, she's like, I'm at a place with Jesse. He's going to be in my life forever, even when Isabella gets married. And Aaron doesn't have to deal with him and his toxicity. So I do get scared sometimes that one day Aaron's going to be like, this is too much to deal with a crazy ex-husband. Think about their conversations. Like, just a simple, normal conversation that we take for granted must take 2 hours with them just because of the speed in which they talk. So anyways, Jesse starts off this little tete-a-tete with like the casual, intense Jesse Lally vibe of like, how are you enjoying yourself, Aaron? And Aaron's like, very well. Yeah? Yeah. I figured it was probably time that you and I had a little conversation. In a talking head, Jesse goes, there are issues that Aaron and I need to discuss. We should have discussed them very early on. We didn't. As a father of Isabella, Aaron, it's something that really bothered me. And you wouldn't know this because you're not a father. Coming back on fucking Father's Day and having my mother and my friends send me screenshots of you with my daughter on Father's Day. That is disrespectful to post a picture of my daughter without even asking her father if that's okay. Aaron goes, right. That was a big slap in the face from Michelle. And Aaron shakes his head like, whew, completely slipped my mind. We were having such a good day, supporting her. And I put myself in your shoes and I was like, yeah, that's not right. So I took it down. But like, treat us with respect. And then Jesse's like, leaning back in his chair. Like Jesse always acts like he knows he's in like a movie or something. He's like, he's like in a mafia movie. Well, then let me ask you a question, honey man. Did you or did you not cross a line when I was married to Michelle? Dramatic music is playing. Emotional, physical, in any way did you cross a line? And this is when we have the zoiks face from Aaron, like, zoiks! Shot of Jesse, shot of Aaron, shot of Jesse, shot of Aaron, and then all of a sudden, shot of Aaron, and he goes, no, absolutely not. We texted here and there, was once for that coffee meeting at Blackwood. Another time when I told her, hey, come to Runyon. I'm selling honey. Don't wear underwear. But other than that, we would run into each other all the time. That, by the way, like that was like, okay, the one time at Blackwood and then the honey at the Runyon, I was like, that's 2 times. And then he goes, and we would bump into each other all the time. I was like, now you're just adding things in. I was like, now it's a little bit more. But he says no. In a talking head, Jesse Lally's like, I'm thinking this is bullshit. Back to them staring at each other. And Jesse's like, listen, Aaron, at this point, I want to like you. But she triggers me. And she has a way to get under my skin. And I think it's kind of time to let it all go. If we could just all somehow figure out a way to like work together, and you guys being here this week, I mean, it should be the perfect fucking time to do that. So, I mean, it kind of is like, okay, is Jesse being positive here, but he's still coming off mildly threatening, and I think he wants to come off mildly threatening, but he wants to be in control of this situation. But I love that Jesse is so desperate to hold on to this woman cheated on me, because if he lets go of that, he will have to face the actual fact that, Michelle is not with him because of his own behavior. Is because he didn't make her feel loved in the way that she wanted to feel loved. He was not physical with her in any way. He did not caress her or kiss her or any of the things that Michelle has said, right? And I think that is a tough pill to swallow that I hope Jesse does swallow at some point. Some things just were not meant to be in certain place, and it hurts. It fucking hurts. But this is him trying to exert male dominance, and I'm sure his life coach helped him with this speech. What I'm going to need you to do, Jesse, I'm going to need you to put your hand on Aaron's chest, okay? And I'm going to need you to just give him a little chest tap, and I'm going to need you to say, I forgive you for your hot honey ways, for your Runyon, for your Blackwood coffee, and I release you, okay? That's what I'm going to need you to do. Like, I'm waiting for the guys. We got to get Aaron in this guys group from last week, right? Anyways, Aaron listens to all this, And he's just staring. And Jesse goes, I don't know. I think we've said enough. In a talking head, Jesse goes, in my heart of hearts, I 1000% think they had a physical and emotional relationship before we separated. How else do you explain having a boyfriend 2 weeks after we separated while still living in my house? Well, I think that could also be a direct reflection of how poor your relationship was that she immediately, that could be it as well. Who knows? Anyways, Michelle is walking up and Jesse's like, speak of the devil. I almost thought Jesse at one point, it was like, so what I'm going to need you to do, Aaron, I'm going to need you to join my tribe where we both go up against Michelle and take her down like the villain that she is. Anyways, Michelle comes up. It's like, everything okay? And Aaron's like, yes. You ready to go? And then Jesse goes, yes, I think we're done. Very weird scene. It really is a weird scene with the three of them. I felt very uncomfortable. And also in regards to that Father's Day thing, because that is a little weird, right? You're posting a Father's Day photo on IG with this man's daughter. Now in the after show, it get, a little more information where Michelle's like, that was actually Jesse Lally's weekend with Isabella. He wanted to go to this wedding. So we watched Isabella and they said, we weren't really thinking about it. We were having a great day. We posted, it's still obviously should have thought that through. So I'm glad he deleted that post once Jesse talked to him about it. Or, obviously when they found out about Jesse feeling bad about it, but it's like, that was Jesse Lally's weekend with Isabella, but he wanted to go to this wedding. So I don't know, you guys. It's just interesting because the after show provides so much more context because I was like, that is kind of a shitty move. It is a little bit of a weird move, but Isabella's there having a good time. That's what you want for your daughter. And I think Jesse realizes that as well. And besides Aaron talking slow and named his dog Kilo, which I think is a reference to cocaine in some way, he seems like an okay guy. I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing. Anyways, it's the next day in Hawaii and Brittany is in a pool chair next to Janet, and I think she's doing a shot. She's like, cheers to, she's doing a shot. Cheers to Hawaii. Cheers, everybody. Love y'all. And Michelle is there, and Hot Honey Man is there, and Jasmine is there, and Janet just says, paradise. And then we come back up and we're in Danny and Nia's room. And Danny's like, somebody spray tan in there. Looks like a dead body. And we see a photo of the bed. And I don't know if this is Nia's bed, but it looks like a crime scene. The tan is all over this bed. These poor housekeepers. Anyways, Danny's like, the sheets. And he's like, I hope they change the sheets when we leave. Yeah. And she goes, I am so excited for today. Danny's like, great day for a great day, baby. But he doesn't say baby, he goes, baby. I love that Danny goes through his life high on life and potentially pantry drinking. I'm kidding. But then he keeps going, big day. And he's like, we're going to be part of a proposal. We're 100% sure it's going to happen. How is Luke doing? He seemed like he was in really bad last night. And then in a talking head, Danny goes, last night, Luke had a moment, went off the rails a little bit. And we flash back to last night's dinner where Doute goes, I will give anyone at this table $20 to snort this ball of wasabi. And then we see Luke snort the ball of wasabi, which I'm like, if you're already worried about the engagement and your grandma, maybe let's not introduce wasabi directly into your nose. My other thought was Luke might need the money. That $20 is going directly to Kyle Chan. Who knows? Anyways, everybody's freaking out when Luke snorts this wasabi. Danny in the talking head goes, he was about to have a mental breakdown. And then we flash back to a scene that we saw in the trailer where Luke is in bed and he seems like he's freaking out. He's like, yes, I'm fucking going through some shit. I just want you to be there for me, Kristen. That's all I want, Kristen. And then we see a shot of Luke in his undies, blouseless, walking down the hallway of this hotel with his hands on his head. And Kristen going, Luke, you don't have pants on, Luke. Back to Danny's talking head. He goes, it's a really big moment in your life, and you want to get it right. So I am sympathetic to what he's going through right now. Okay. that little flashback happened so quickly that I think I was like, it registered, but it didn't. And then I was like, later in the episode, I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, Luke in bed fighting with Kristen and then walking in his undies outside the hotel hallways. I'm like, we're not going to find out anything more about that night. Like, like the cameras, what, are we being kind to Luke and Kristen because it's their engagement episode? Where is the rest of that scene? Like, are they saying the wasabi fucked him up so much, or just like the amount of stress he's under? Like, what was that fight? Why were the cameras in there while Luke's in bed and then all of a sudden he's walking down the hall in his undies? I need more. I need more. Like it's a gift if you're a reality show worker. Like, you got this, and we're just gonna see 10 seconds of it. Anywho, Danny's like, I talked to him this morning, Luke, and I said, "How you doing, brother?" And he seems like he's coming back. He's coming back, you know. And he's like, okay. Back to downstairs, and Brittany's like, have you talked to Kristen, Janet? Janet's like, no, I haven't talked to it. No. And Jasmine's like, I had breakfast with her. And Janet goes, I have not talked to her since El Coyote. And Jasmine's like, she's mad because I was trying. Oh, no, sorry. It's Michelle says, she's mad because you were just yelling at her. And we flash back to the El Coyote, say, Doute going, this is a conversation that Michelle and I could have had without you being involved and making it so much bigger and worse, Janet. And Janet going, yeah, because we would hold you accountable. And Brittany's like, Janet, come on. Back on the beach chairs, Aaron says, how did that night get so heated at El Coyote? I understand the drinks were strong, but how did it get so hot and everybody was yelling? Aaron, welcome to reality TV, bro. Anyways, Janet says there's a group of people who every time the heat is on them, suddenly there are these made up rumors that get thrown out. Jason was a victim of it. And we flash back to 4 weeks earlier where Doute is talking to Jesse Lally about keep your wedding ring on all the time. And then you can start talking. Janet says, you guys were the victims of it, and that's brought up about Aaron's ex-girlfriend, Jenna Willis. Janet says, it's a deflection to me. At El Coyote, I felt like Kristen was not taking any accountability and was like, I don't know why Jenna's around. What are you talking about? Just own it. Janet says, just say I purposely brought this person around because I don't like Michelle and I want to ruin her happy relationship. Michelle in a talking head says, I just want to be in the pool with my hot boyfriend with big eyes and have fun. But my friends keep bringing up a girl he once hooked up with. Anyways, Aaron's like, well, on that note, we're going to get deep tissue massages. And then Janet's like, you guys deserve it. All right. In a talking head, Michelle continues, why do we have to talk about her again? Can we move on? And then Janet tells them, you guys are a really hot couple. And Brittany's like, yeah. Janet goes, Michelle's really doing it for me in these little shorts. Ooh, Janet. Wasn't there, that got kicked up again? Is that didn't Dana Cathan from Katie's podcast in that one season of Vanderpump Rules, there was that Dana, Janet, and somebody else had like a threesome, and they talked about it on a podcast one time, if I'm not mistaken. But I was like, yeah, Janet, hit on Michelle. That would be an amazing season 3 storyline of like a 3 or a 4-way between Aaron, Jason, Janet, and Michelle. Wow. Anyways, Janet's like, I think I have a crush on Michelle. I just realized, to Brittany. And Brittany's like, oh. Anyways, upstairs in the presidential suite, Zach is with his boyfriend, Benji. And it's their last day in the presidential suite. And Zach's like, oh, I can't believe we have to give this up, but I guess we have to do it for their engagement. Also, I love that Jasmine today was like, something's amiss. And I was like, just trust me. And then she's like, she's like, I was like, I can't. This is like a lot of shit, like for gay people setting up. I mean, it's getting real. I love Benji, Zach's boyfriend, like barely says anything. He's just always smiling and looking up at Zach because Zach is a towering figure. I mean, is Zach like 6'8" or something? He is so tall. So Benji's always looking up, just smiling. Anyways, they open the suitcase, and remember, Zach had made all these t-shirts for Luke and Kristen's engagement. And you guys, you know what I'm about to say. When I saw these t-shirts getting busted out, I was like, I need one. I need one of these shirts. And I'm proud to say I was wearing extra large shirts. And guess who's down to a large shirt this week? This guy. I mean, there's fat everywhere in the large shirt, but I have gone down a t-shirt size, and that is just so sad for all of the ironic shirts and the concert shirts I've bought over these last couple of years, but I'm officially down to a large. So Luke or Doute or Zach, Benji, if you're listening to this, I'm a large. I would appreciate a shirt. Thank you. Anyway, Zach's like, look how cute this shirt is. It's the best. It is the best. I need one. And Zach's like, we had to get Janet and Jason's size to make it seem like, oh, we're getting like a group photo on a shirt or whatever. And I don't know what we're going to do with them tonight. Because I can tell you this, if Kristen gets proposed to and then gets off the boat and Janet is standing there with a shirt of her face on it, that will be the biggest meltdown in the history of the world. Zach tells Benji, like Chernobyl ain't got shit on what would happen, but I feel like we should pack first. Now, even here's Zach saying like, so Janet's move of not wanting to go to dinner, as some people thought overly cruel, Zach saying right here, yeah, that would have been a bad thing. Kristen would have hated that. Anyways, at this point, Kristen is knocking on the door and they're like, oh shit, we got these shirts out. So they're like trying to pack. They're like, we're naked. We're fucking, we're jacking off. Yeah. Anyways, Doute comes in. I love Doute. Like, this is what I'm saying. With housewife shows, they're always dressed like the Avengers, like selling sunset. I love the cast of The Valley because it's real. Like, it's like, this is the shit that we normies wear. And I love Doute just coming in like what looks like men's boxer shorts and like a swimsuit covering it up. Like Diet Coke in her hand. Just living life, man. Just like out there. I'm sure she hadn't shaved her arms or her legs. I mean, just living. And I love that because most housewives or selling sunset cast members, you're in like 5 hours of makeup. So Zach is relaying to Doute is like, hey, it's great. You're sometimes really intense, but I like that Luke can be kind of as intense as you sometimes. And she's like, oh, he's going through a rough time. We had just been on this long drive to see his grandma who's going to pass away. And he's just going through a lot. And Zach's like, I know. And then Luke walks in and Luke's like, can you shave the back of my neck, Kristen? I want to look better today. Yeah, I just want to trim my beard a little bit as well. And then Doute hits us with like the big problem of the episode. She's like, I'm not going to shower before fishy time because I feel like I'm going to probably stink like fish or something, and then I'll shower after. And Luke is just going back into that dark place he was in last night with the wasabi up the nose. And he's like, no, you should shower before. You should shower before. She's like, why? Because I think we're going to the luau right after. And Zach's like, yeah, luau. We're not going to have time to shower and get ready after. And Doute goes, no, you don't need to shower every day in Hawaii if you're in the ocean. Doute, our queen. You don't have to wipe. You don't have to like do deodorant. Like, come on, live free. Anyways, Nia is back talking to Danny. Nia's like, I've been really trying to like really subtly text her about being cute. Back to Doute. Doute is complaining to Luke. She's like, I love her so much with her inspo pics. And Luke's like, I just want you to shower. But it's like a boat with a bunch of gross fish guts on it. And Luke's like, no, it's not. It's not that. We cut back to Danny talking to Nia. Danny's like, you sent this inspo photo? And Nia's like, honey, it's a kissing photo I sent. And Danny's like, you sent all of these photos that look like engagement photos. Luke talking to Doute is like, Luke, it's just a boat. It's a boat. And then Doute's like, well, I feel pretty dressed then. And Luke says in a talking head, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. The boat's reserved. Danny and Nia are coming. Zach's handling everything at the resort. Kristen not wanting to shower was not on my radar. She's slippery, that Kristen Doute. You think she'll clean herself? She won't clean herself. And she gives Luke a smile like, I'm dirty. Who knew? We come back from commercial break. We're seeing the beautiful water of Hawaii. And we're in the valley, you guys. We see Laurel Canyon and I'm like, oh no, the darkness of the valley. And we're at Jax's, Well, Brittany's home, and we see Jax finally with his son, Cruz, and they're in the pool. And, they're having a father-son pool day, right? And it's nice, and he's kissing his son. And obviously, yes, he does know the cameras are there, but I choose to believe this is nice. Jackson at Talking Head goes, I'm really, really happy that I get to see Cruz today and be on camera. It's been 7 days since I've gotten out of the facility, and I was really worried because I was gone for so long that I thought he was going to forget about me. And we flash back to his Blair Witch style video. He's like, it's gut wrenching not seeing my kid. He's my everything, Jack says. And Jack says, he picked up right where we left off. He's the best medication I have. He's the best medication I have right now. Love the sentiment, but the best medication you can have right now. Let's stick with the Zoloft. Let's stick with the SSRIs. Like, he's your heart, your son, all that. I'll go with you. But the best medication is the actual medication from doctors. Okay? Let's just accept that and move on. Anyways, we see Jax kissing his son in the pool. And then I love that we'll give Jax this little moment. And then back to Hawaii. Woo! And the girls are learning how to do hula dancing, luau dancing. And the guy's treating them to like the hand, feet, and body to manually unfold a story in this beautiful dance, hula dance. And Brittany in a Talking Head goes, Lord, what would my hula dance be? It would be doing a shot. She goes, obviously it has a lot to do with Jax. So I'm thinking I can just rip off his nuts and pull him out and throw him in the ocean. That's like a good hula move. Or doing a shot. Let's do a shot. That's a good hula move. Anyways, we have Jesse, Lally, Jason Caperna, and Hot Honeyman Aaron having a conversation. And they're having some shaved ice together as men. Jesse in a Talking Head says, I don't need to be buddy-buddy with Aaron, okay? I don't need that, but I have to do what's in the best interest of Isabella. And Isabella says she loves Aaron. And we flash back to Michelle on a FaceTime call where Aaron's calling on FaceTime, and Isabella, he's like, hi, Isabella. And Isabella's like, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. And Aaron's like, love you too, bye. Love you. Jesse says, then I have to respect that. Easier said than done. Ugh. And then Aaron, eating the shaved ice, goes, speaking of shaved ice, when's the last time you played hockey? And there's a pause. And Jesse goes, you sure you want to go there? No, I would be like, no, then fine. I don't need to go there. Like, why are you making this a thing? You sure you want to go there, honey man? And Aaron and Jason are laughing like, what are you talking about? Is that a sore topic? Like, when's the last time you played hockey? And then Jesse goes, it connects us even more, me and Aaron. The last time I played hockey was probably 2016 when I was on the ice. They called me a young Wayne Gretzky. I got buried in the corner. I had the worst concussion of my entire hockey career. I checked myself into Cedars. Turns out I was pregnant. I was giving birth. No, he goes, and Michelle and I hadn't been dating for a few weeks. We had not been dating. I had an option of like who to call to pick me up at the hospital. And that's kind of how Michelle and I started back up. That's wild. So you're not even dating this girl, and of all the people you know in your life, you choose the person that you're not dating any longer? Part of that story made me sad. Aaron goes, if that didn't happen, would you have gotten back together with her? And Jesse's like, no. Producer says in a Talking Head, so basically you got back together with Michelle because you were concussed. And Jesse loves that. Ha 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 ha. Yes, I guess I've been concussed for 8.5 years. Back in the scene, Aaron goes, was that the only time you guys broke up? Yes. And Jason goes, well, there was one more time. Oh, and Jesse goes, yes, when you started dating her, Aaron. Just like a funny, like illicit affair potentially joke. And then Jesse goes, technically, Michelle and I are still together. Right, Jason Caperna, lawyer? A little joke about the situation. And then Aaron goes, that must feel real good. And then Jesse gives him a death stare. Like at any second, like even when Jesse's trying to be nice to somebody, I feel like he could snap within like a second. Like it is very Patrick Bateman, American Psycho, you know? In a talking head, Jesse goes, technically, they were in a relationship while she was still sleeping in my bed. And yeah, I'll take a few digs when I can. Jason goes, you guys spoke for a while yesterday. I saw when you came back to the room, you guys did a little beers toast, so I assume everything's pretty good. Jason goes, I think it was a good talk. And Aaron goes, yes, how did you feel about last night? I thought it was good, Aaron. And like I said, just be on my team. I will do my part as a promise to you to not be calling her a lying, cheating whore. Because she doesn't deserve that. She's the mother of my child, even though I was the one initially calling her that. She doesn't deserve that. I have decided. She's the mother of my child. I trust that you are a man who will respect my daughter, a man who will now respect me. And if you have a question about my daughter, you will reach out to me. Those things alone, we can build a foundation on. And then Aaron's like, well, respect is a two-way street. And Jesse's like, right. In a talking head, he goes, the problem is, even if he respects me, Michelle doesn't. So if he says to himself, I don't feel comfortable with this, I should call Jesse, Michelle says, fuck Jesse. What is he going to do? Be like, no, fuck you, Michelle. Me and Jesse are bros. It's never going to happen. So moving forward, my only thought is get rid of Michelle. Now he goes, so moving forward, we just see how it goes. Anyways, the phone rings. Thank God. I was like, please stop uncomfortably talking. And it's Jax Taylor, you guys, FaceTiming these guys, the bro squad. And Jesse's being funny, and he puts on a snorkel mask. And Jax is like, what's up, guys? And Jesse's like, I'm with my best friend and my new best friend, Aaron. Look at this fucking loser. And Jason's like, we miss you, buddy. It's like, Aaron and I are kumbaya, Jax. He gave me a couple's massage at the beach. I love that Jax is like, Jax could give a shit. I don't fucking care. I love that. Anyways, they're like, how are you feeling, Jax? And he goes, great. Yeah. Amazing. You love cruise time? Yeah, a lot of cruise time. 10 minutes, 15, great stuff. And Jesse's like, it's not as good without you, brother. You need to get back. I would argue that it's fine. I mean, I've not really noticed it a lot. In fact, this is kind of throwing me into like another headspace when I see Jax. Anyways, Jax is like, yeah, I need to get back and stir some shit up. And Jason laughs like, don't laugh. That's not funny. No, what did you didn't learn shit. We do not need you to stir shit up. We don't like point blank. We don't need that. No. We'd rather see you actually just go through your real. We don't need you. Do not feel pressure to stir shit up. We got plenty of shit being stirred constantly on this show without you. Now it's engagement time, baby. They're going on this boat with Danny and Nia. Doute is like dressed a little better than she was. She looks somewhat showered. Who knows? But they're going on the boat. You can tell Luke is really nervous. He's like, pulling Danny. He's like, here's the plan. The ring's in my backpack. So when the time's ready, you grab your phone, you come back out here. I'll get her out front, blah, blah, blah. And then they're pretending like, okay, we're going to fish. Also, when they enter the boat, they're seeing like stingrays, and Doute's immediately like, those stingrays are having sex. Like, I just saw stingrays. How do you know that stingrays are having sex? Like, she called it immediately. Like that, she's one with nature in that way. Anyways, Luke's nervous, and in a talking head, as they're trying to fish, Luke's like, right now, my head is not with the fish. I am not thinking about catching a fish. I'm not thinking about that at all. Anyways, Nia's telling Doute, going like, hey girl, you and I, we need to take photos. And Doute's like, ugh. And Nia's like, just like cutesy swimsuit girly. How, And Doute's like, no, because I'm not feeling cute at all right now. And Nia's like, we'll find a spot in the shade. She's like, I'm feeling sweaty and absolutely disgusting. I love Doute. Doute is so real. Like, no, I've got gas right now. Talking to Doute is like, oh my God, is it hot? Oh my God, is it humid? Like, I'm sticking to my own self right now. Nia in the boat goes, are we feeling good for photos? And Doute's like, no. And she like goes into the boat's cabin. And she's like, I can't really see straight right now. Do I want to be taking pictures right now? No. Do I ever want to be taking pictures? No. And she's sitting on Luke's bag. Anyways, Luke's like, hey, get picture ready, girl, and let's snap some pics. Come on. And Doty's like, I have no idea what I even look like right now. Ugh. Like, I love it. She just belches. Ugh. Anyways, Luke goes to Nia and Danny. She's like, she's fucking sitting on my bag. That's where the ring is. She's sitting on my bag right now. She's farting on my bag. Nia goes, this is typical Kristen. And Luke's like, we are at the finish line and she's sitting on the ring. Get her off the bag, Nia. Come on, Nia, get her off the bag. And talking to Danny, Danny's like, Jeez, oh Pete's. And Nia's like, hey, Kristen, I know photos are not your thing, but we have like 3 minutes for like perfect lighting. Doty in a talking head's like, I'm going as fast as I can. The stress I feel right now about taking these picture perfect, like coupley photos is going to like make me have a meltdown. And I'm trying, like makeup's on, tits are out. I'm doing the best I can. Luke's like, come on, man. Get her to come right over here. Come on, Nia. I'm going to go the opposite way. When she comes out, it goes around, you go the opposite way. Come on, let's do this, okay? I'm going to get the ring. I'm going to shove it in my pants. And, okay, she's coming out. As soon as she's finally coming out. And Doty's like, are my sunglasses up there? Oh. And then Doty's like, I have to pee now. Ugh. And then he's like, can you take a few pictures for me and Daniel, Kristen? And Luke is finally able to get into the cabin to get the ring. And I do love that Luke does not put it in his pocket. He literally puts it down in his junk. He's putting it with his junk. I'm like, do you think like, I guess it would stick out, but I love that he immediately, like, I'd go pocket. This man is going junk, right? So he's got it now. He steps out of the cabin. It's game time, baby. And Luke walks up to Kristen as Kristen's trying to take Danny and Nia's photo. And Kristen's like, what? And Luke's like, oh, sorry. So they're taking like the photos. Cute. Danny and Nia kissing. Cute. And she's like, I took 40 million. Here you are. And Luke's like, yeah, let's take our photos now, right? And Doty's like, whatever. Just do what Nia says, Luke. Come on. Just do it. And so they're taking pictures. Luke's kissing her. And then Danny's like, I think there's some dolphins over there right now, dude. And Doty immediately is like, what? Are they fucking? No, she's excited about the dolphins. But I think it would be a bonus for like, they're fucking. And Luke kind of like gets around from behind Doty. And Doty's like still trying to see the dolphins. Where are the dolphins? Where are they? Where the splashes are? And Dana's like, no, see I felt like they were about to push her off the boat at one point. And she's like, just look straight out, Danny's saying. And she's like, okay. And then all of a sudden, Doty's looking out. Luke drops to the knee. Pulls out the ring from his junk. Doty's still trying to see these dolphins, right? And Doty's like, okay, I see it. I think I see it. I see it. And then Luke's like, your butt looks good from this angle, baby. And Doty's like laughing, not looking behind. And he's like, hey, baby. Hey, we've had some awesome adventures, honey. Right? Come here. And then she like is total, like she's still turned around. She turns around and she stumbles. She's like, what the fuck? Are you serious right now? And then Luke's like, will you be the catch of my lifetime? Will you be a stingray that fucks me, baby? Will you be the catch of my lifetime? And the sun is perfectly in between the two. And he's like, I love you so much. We've had such incredible adventures and so many new experiences. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And Doty's like, oh my God, oh my God. Will you marry me? And she's like, yes. And she kisses. And she's like, oh my God, are you being serious? Is this real life? And Nia's smiling and Danny's smiling. And and she puts the ring on her. And she's like, is this Kyle Chan? No. But she's like, I'm nervous. And he goes, I'm nervous too. It's a beautiful moment. It's really beautiful. And it feels real. And it is real. Kristen says in a talking head, Luke is very much my rock. He stands by me. He stands up for me. I love that he's exactly who he is and lets me be exactly who I am. I love how funny he thinks he is, but he's not. That is my partner in crime. That is my ride or die. This was the easiest yes I've ever said. And they're just so happy. And Danny's like, yeah, you're engaged. All right. Woo. And the audience is home is like, woo. And Janet's like, boo. But it's a very sweet moment. And Doute has the talking head thing of like putting up the ring of like, ah. And Luke's like, you're mine forever, which he says beautiful way. Because I think I would say it where it sounds great. You're mine forever. You're mine forever. You will be mine forever. And it's just very cute. It's very beautiful. It makes you believe in love. And she says in a talking head, I'm just so happy. So everybody's cheering. Stingrays are fucking. Dolphins are fucking. It's a whole beautiful experience. Now, I did text briefly with Luke Broderick today. Everybody's fine, baby. Everybody's fine. But there's part of me that thinks that Doute was aware of something. And he assured me, I said, I'm about to record my recap, which was kind of a lie because I didn't record the recap till 10 hours later. So about to record the recap. Just want to check in once again if you want to change your story. Was Doute onto you at all? And he says, no. She did not know at all. She's here right now. She is confirming she didn't know at all. And I didn't want to go like, well, Doute's a little slippery. She might just be telling you that because it's a sweet moment. But he says no. Completely surprised. So let's go with no. What a beautiful scene. So now Zach and Benji are packing up Luke and Kristen's room to move them to the presidential suite. And they got their shit everywhere. I do not envy having to do this. And now they have to tell Jesse because remember, they've kept all of this secret. So Zach is like, we're going to be back in the room. So I'm just going to have to tell you now, Jesse, instead of later. Luke is proposing to Kristen. And Jesse's like, really? Yeah, literally. Yeah. No fucking way. Right now. And, Jesse's like, that's why he was so, okay. And Zach's like, yeah, that's why nobody else could go fishing and everything else. And then Jesse's like, who the fuck wants to go fishing? And Zach's like, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to go either way. So let's be real. You're just going to have to put some earmuffs on. And Jesse's like, why don't we call the hotel and get, I shit you not, you guys. He's like 500 white roses and 500 hibiscus petals and put them all over the place. Get the fuck out of here. That's Isabella's college fund. Dad, why am I at a community college? Because I bought hibiscus flowers. Jesse's like, can we get like 5,000 white flowers? And Zach's like, oh my God. Zach in a talking head's like, Michelle says he's broke. We do a flash of like, Michelle's like, he's broke. He's a disaster. He's a loser. He spent all of our fucking money. And Zach's like, I guess he's just going to put it on a credit card. Anyways, Jesse Lally calls down to the front desk. Hi, it's Jesse Lally in the presidential suite. I have a question for you. Is there somebody that could get me 1,000 hibiscus flowers? And the person just hangs up on Jesse. Thank God. Like that person's a fan of Isabella's college fund, right? Great. Okay, so we cut out of that and we're over at Brittany in her room and Janet's there, Jasmine's there. Brittany's like, do you think we could get room service shots? Oh my God, Brittany, stop with the shots. And Jason's like, do you want me to just go down and get a bottle of tequila? And Brittany's like, yes. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your doll. Yeah, it's going to be cheaper, right? Jasmine's with her girlfriend, Melissa. They're talking about what they're going to wear tonight. Jasmine tells Melissa, yeah, they're getting engaged. I don't think anybody else knows or has figured it out. And Melissa's like, actually, tonight is actually secret, our engagement. And Jasmine's like, what do you mean? And Melissa's like, it's ours. And Jasmine's like, shut up, girl. It's a double engagement. And Melissa's like, it is. Oh, remember that season of Vanderpump Rules? What was it when James Kennedy and the artist formerly known as Raquel Leviss got engaged, and then was it Scheana and Brock that wasn't, I'm trying to remember the exact storyline. Anyways, Jasmine's like, I would punch you in the face if you did that. I don't know, cute moment. They hold hands, whatever. They're going to get dressed for tonight. So everybody's getting ready for this night. People are slowly finding out. We go downstairs. Zach and Benji are bringing like some decorations. And people are like, the staff's like setting up some champagne, all the good stuff you do to celebrate an engagement. Zach says the proposal is happened. Now the sun's going down because it was supposed to happen at sunset. And now I can finally call everyone and let them know there's actually an engagement happening. And she better have said yes because I put way too much work into this. I got to say, in regards to Zach and Kristen's friendship, he really seems to be a very good friend. I don't know him, but he seems to be a good friend, especially to Kristen. So now he finally calls Brittany, and Zach's like, Brittany is going to be so mad at me, literally so mad. And he's calling Brittany. Brittany's getting ready in the mirror. He's like, hello. He's like, hey, girl. So you're going to be mad at me, Brittany. What? Is Jax here? And we cut to the ocean and Jax is like, somebody can help. Somebody can get me anytime they want. Somebody please help. Why? Is Jax here? And Zach's like, God, no. Oh my God. I would never surprise you with that. That is not a surprise. No, Luke just proposed to Kristen. And Brittany's like, what? What? Gosh darn, what in tarnations? He did? Zach's like, yeah, are you like so shocked? Oh, yeah. Wait, so Danny and Nia got to be there and we didn't? Dark Side Pantry Danny? And Zach's like, Luke wanted it to be like such a surprise. Like Danny and Nia being there, like, yes, she loves them, but like if you and I were on this fishing boat, do you think that makes sense? And Brittany's like, oh, yeah, I was trying to fish the whole time. And Zach's like, okay, maybe you, but I'm not even a fisher. Just by saying I'm not a fisher, he's not a fisher. Brittany in a talking head goes, I cannot help but feel a little bit left out because Kristen is one of my very best friends. She is literally a sister to me. I would have loved to have been there and been in that moment. And I feel like all these other people knew about it but me, and it just doesn't really make sense to me. Oh, Brittany, we love you so much, but man, has nothing to do with you. Don't ever, no. And Zach's like, love you, get ready, I'll see you soon. All right, I'll see you soon, bye, baby. And she gets off the phone, and Jason overheard this. Like, Jason, learning from Janet, has eavesdropped. And Jason goes in and goes, hey, Janet, Michelle, hey, guys. So I just overheard Zach telling Brittany, and he stopped, Luke and Kristen are engaged now. And Michelle's like, Michelle is happy. Michelle's like, what? Oh my God. And Jason's like, I didn't know that did you guys have any idea? And Janet's like, on the boat today? And Jason's like, I don't know where they did, but I just overheard it. I fully eavesdropped. I mean, I don't know. Janet and a talking head goes, oh, fuck. Now we've left our child for the first time, for the longest time we've ever left him, and it's for Kristen's engagement trip. And she does the thumbs up. Like, girl, ugh. Anyways, Janet's like, oh, if this is like a big engagement dinner thing, I'm going to bow out. And Jason's like, just give Zach a call now and see if that's the whole thing. And Janet's like, yeah, okay. Anyways, Zach's trying to get somebody that works there to do a shot with him. And she's like, no, I don't drink on, no, I'm not going to do that. So Zach's going to do a shot by himself. He gets a call from Janet, and Zach's like, hey. And Janet goes, I heard that you told Brittany the news, like, congratulations. I'm super happy for them, but feel like maybe Jason and I shouldn't come to dinner because it's been kind of weird between us. And we flash back to Janet, like, yelling about Doute earlier in the season, 5 days earlier at El Coyote, the whole thing. So obviously we understand they have an issue. So Zach says, well, I wanted to do this in person because I don't want you to think that like I'm discluding you because I'm not. And I don't think, and Janet's like, no, that's totally fine. Actually, I think it'd be best if we don't come. And Zach's like, oh, okay. Well, I got t-shirts made. I think it would be a little aggressive if you had a shirt on with their faces on it and you guys haven't even like talked out the things that have happened. And Janet's like, yeah, for sure. And Zach's like, but I wanted to say that like the dinner aspect is a stand-up dinner. It's like a very open area down by the pool and with hors d'oeuvres. So I feel like you coming shows that like you do want to work on things and you are happy for them because I know you are. And I think it, and Janet's like, no, I'm so happy for them. This weekend should be about them celebrating and they should honestly just have the best time. And Zach's like, thank you very much for that. I was kind of nervous to have this conversation, but instead it's like, no, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Send my best and we'll see you guys tomorrow to celebrate. So the phone call with Zach, Janet was great, right? Very nice. Made it very easy for Zach. And then Janet tells Jason, where do you want to go to dinner? And you can tell she's a little nonplussed, right? And Zach laughs out the phone. He's like, well, now I'm off the hook. Okay, this was great. This was awesome. Janet goes, all right, we're going to dinner. And in a talking head, Janet goes, I don't want Kristen to come out to a celebration where she's looking around the room and seeing everybody that makes her smile, that she feels like has been supportive of her relationship, and then see me and feel dread. Janet to Brittany goes, well, we're going to talk to everybody back in LA. And Brittany's like, wait, you're not, what do you mean? And even Jason's like, what do you mean back in LA? What do you mean? And Janet goes, I'm not going to hang out tomorrow either. I love it. Didn't even confer with Jason. Janet's like, I'm not going to be here. In a talking head, she goes, I mean, just because Kristen, went for my marriage and Jesse and Michelle's marriage doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve to have a happy engagement celebration. And Janet tells Brittany, well, if we're going to be excluded from one thing, I'm not going to jump into anything else. And Jason goes, first of all, whoa. First of all, we weren't excluded from dinner tonight. It's a good thing that they got engaged, but it does make sense if there's like this weird tension between like Janet and Kristen, this trip's for them. The whole time, Brittany just keeps doing her makeup in the mirror. And Jason goes, well, what do you mean this trip's for them? And Janet's like, well, this trip's for their engagement now. You know what I mean? Like it's always going to be that. I do not agree with Janet at all on this. No, it's not always going to be that. You can go have this beautiful time with the love of your life, And Janet's like, I'd rather just I don't want it to be weird. Like I haven't spoke to Kristen here. And Jason goes, Janet, I'm literally taking off work to be in Hawaii. I literally I picked up the whole dinner tab the other night. And he's like, this trip is for us as well, Janet. And she's like, I know. So let's do our own stuff tomorrow. And then even Brittany's like, I feel weird stuff is happening. No. And Janet's like, no, it's good. No, I want to go get food. She goes, I want to go get food because I'm hungry. And then she awkwardly laughs. And I thought we would be eating by now, Jason. And Brittany in a talking head goes, I feel weird in my room right now. If I was Janet, I wouldn't want to go either. I wouldn't want to wear a t-shirt and be like, congratulations, we don't get along, I has to feel super awkward for her. Janet tells Jason, I'm not going to go on TBD. I'm not going to go to that and TBD on tomorrow. And Jason goes, I don't know this tomorrow thing. Stop saying that. Janet's like, I saw this. We'll figure out tomorrow. Later on. And Jason's like, what does it matter if they're engaged? And Janet's like, we'll figure out tomorrow when it comes. I'm ready. I'm starving. Maybe there's like a Dave and Buster's in Maui. Jason goes, just slow down and stop making decisions without talking to me. And Janet's like, I've been starving for hours. Can we go get food? And then Janet says to Jason, why don't you go to their thing and celebrate? Woo-hoo-hoo! Boom! Awkward. We cut back up to the presidential suite. Zach is freaking out. He's trying to set up all the decorations for this engagement thing at the room. Lally's helping, and Jesse and I talking heads myself as a functioning panic attacker would suggest that Zach maybe scream into a pillow like I do in my men's group. I personally recommend Xanax. Jasmine, Brittany, Michelle, where is Hot Honey Man Aaron? Did Aaron leave early? I don't see Aaron in this scene at all, but everybody comes into the room, not Janet and Jason. Brittany in a talking head still butthurt. She's like, they didn't include me out of everybody in this crew. I just want to be able to help with that situation and made something special for Kristen, but whatever. I'm being selfish. And she's Brittany's looking around the room. She's like, this is super cute. Zach's like, quickly, grab your size shirt to put on. Grab your commemorative Kristen and Luke engagement shirt that we should get one to Ryan Bailey. Get it. Okay, and then, okay, I gotta change. He's just freaking out. Now, Danny, Nia, Doute, and Luke are coming back in, and Luke's making dad jokes about the ring, like, hey, your arm tired yet, huh? Can you hold up that rock? Kyle Chan said it weighs 66 pounds. I don't know, very cute. They're all happy. You can tell Luke's all loose now. And Luke's like, oh my God, they're coming. Hurry up. And Dana's like, what a day, guys. Yeah, all right. And Nia's like, you became a fiance today. Anyway, so they're all in the t-shirts inside, waiting for the big surprise. And all of a sudden, Jax pops out of nowhere. What's going on? No. Anyways, they open the door, and everybody's like, yay! And Doute's surprised again. Doute's like, what? No, oh my God. And they're all clapping. It's so cute. It's very... And Luke's like, oh my God, look at those shirts. All right. Look at the t-shirts that Ryan should have one of. And Doute to Nia's like, did you guys do this? And Nia's like, me and Zach. Doute in a talking to goes, to go above and beyond like this, to have all these decorations, to have all these shirts printed, to keep it a surprise. Like, Kristen is very happy. She says, it's really sweet. Michelle's hugging Doute. Everybody's hugging Doute. Luke tells Brittany, thank you so much. Brittany's like, I just love you guys. I can't believe you didn't include me. I need a shot. And then Zach has these sashes that says like future wife, future Mr., future Mrs. And Zach's like, okay, if we could just present Mr. and Mrs. Broderick, yay! And Doute's laughing, and Doute's like, we're not married yet. Jasmine, talking to us, says, you can just feel like the energy and the love, and it's very surprising because that's not what the Valley's about at all. No, she goes, and that it's real, it's going to last, and it's just like a perfect match. A little jealous, she says. Just kidding. I'm happy for him. Luke says to the group, I don't think anyone would do this intentionally or maliciously, but we haven't had a chance to talk to our families, so please don't post anything to stories tonight. Don't tell anyone. We don't want them to find out. And Jesse's like, it's your moment. I've learned in my men's group, you define your moment. Love you guys. And Zach's like, so while we're doing this, we have 2 surprises for you. Number 1, I swapped your rooms. So the presidential suite, it was actually for you. And he did know that. Luke did. So just FYI. And Jesse's like, I have to share a shower with you guys. FYI. No big deal. That's the only caveat. Luke pops the champagne. Pop! Congratulations. More clapping, more yelling. And then Zach's like, there's hors d'oeuvres downstairs. Janet's not going. He didn't say that. Anyways, now we're going to get some champagne going on. Luke says, I want to thank you all for being here. It means a lot. It means a lot. Brittany's like, I love you guys. I'm so happy for you. I can't believe I wasn't included. Oh, so fucking happy. Brittany in a talking head says, as someone who's been engaged and married before, listen to your gut always. Why she laughs at like things that are dark. She's like, listen to your gut always. You shouldn't do. Luke says, Jesse goes, you have a new family. So cheers to you guys. In a talking head, Jesse goes, I love love. When you get in that moment with somebody that's, your best friend, that you're intimate and affectionate with. Yeah, it's great. Luke says, sorry if anybody that wanted to go fishing and didn't get to go, we didn't catch anything. Everybody's like, I wanted to go fishing. And then Jesse goes, you did catch something. You caught a fiance. Doute says in a talking head, I'm really the luckiest girl in the whole world. A trip to Hawaii, a new fiance, and literally the best friends a girl could ever ask for. And the producer goes, so you're happy you're showered? And Doute goes, yes. I've never been so happy that I took a shower in my life. I was so scared that Doute was going to ruin all the goodwill at the last moment to be like, what more can you ask for? Fiance, Hawaii, and Janet didn't come to my party. But she didn't. It was all nice. So Luke's like, future Mrs. Broderick right here. And they all cheers and yay. And Zach's like, or is it future Mr. Doute? And Kristen's like, no. Next time on The Valley. And they're still in Hawaii. And they're going on this boat, the Pride of Maui. And we see Jax talking to Schwartz back home. And Jax is like, I talked to Brittany today. And I said, I know you want this divorce. Can we put a pin in it maybe? And Schwartz is like, I don't think that's good. Is that a bad idea? Yeah, that's a bad idea. Can we put a pin in it? What is it's fucking like some work task? Then we see Doute talking, saying, are there any repercussions for Janet being a complete psycho? And then Janet, we see on the boat saying, I know who Jason is. I know he would never do the things that you were accusing him of. And Doute goes, I didn't fucking, and Zach's like, I specifically did, I didn't anyways, they're fighting. And Jason's like, why are we protecting the wrong people? And Zach's like, nobody's protecting anybody. We just want the truth, just like Tom Cruise. And then Kristen says, get the fuck off my boat. It's my fucking engagement weekend. How about that, bitch? Oh, so maybe Janet was right about wanting to leave a day early. So yeah. Anyways, next week, another happy episode of The Valley. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Remember, like I said, we have a second episode with Lauren Clayton talking about like the psychology underpinnings of The Valley and the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reunion. I will release that on Friday. It's already done, but it'll come out like, 4th of July midnight. So I know a lot of you guys will not be listening to podcasts, but it's there. I really love that conversation. So make sure you catch up with it at some point. But have a great 4th of July. Remember, it's not really about the holiday. It's about who you're celebrating with and who you're with. And even if you're with yourself, I just hope you have the best holiday. If you do those fireworks, don't shoot your fingers off or your butthole or anything like that. And thank you guys. Oh, I'm so happy I'm done with this. Bye.